So I want to thank you all for joining in this morning. It's our second little adventure into these WebEx planned trainings, and I hope you enjoy it. So my goal today is to give you a glimpse into other ways to manage your business. I don't know about you, but I spend an awful lot of time in my car these days. I'm here, I'm there, I'm everywhere, and it's hard for the data to keep up with me. If I rely on my P drive at the office or my network drive, chances are I'm going to be without data quite a bit. And the VPN system, some of you are familiar with and some are not. So you may or may not know if you have access to those things when you're on the road. But as we become more mobile, and now that we're doing our migration to Zimbra, we're finding out just how much data we've stuffed into our email boxes in order to stay mobile. I know a lot of us are using them as a file system on the go. Well, I'm going to give you some other choices today for how that's going to be maybe one of your better bets to store data in a way that you can access it from anywhere and any device as you're on the road. Sound like a plan?
Sounds good.
Great. So a couple solutions that are out there, and here's something I learned last year while I was at Triple Play. One of the great presenters of the day was the head of security for NAR. And unfortunately, that gentleman passed away this year, or I would have loved to have had him show up as a guest on one of these little spots for an interview because he was very open to that. But he explained a different hierarchy for some of the online storage systems. So my concern, and so was his, is we're dealing with a lot of personal information when it comes to the individuals that we deal with. And there are a number of online solutions that are good, but they're not great because they don't give us a great level of security. And if you were handling my data, that's what I would want, and I'm sure you'd want the same thing. So that's where we're going to really start our conversation today because many people are familiar with Google Docs, and you like Google Docs because it's part of the Google suite of online tools, and they're free. The concern with Google is that it's one of the least secure places to put your data or anyone else's data. So if you're dealing with owners and their social security numbers and their contracts, mortgage payoff letters like we do, it's not recommended by NAR that we have that secure data in a Google Docs location. So we're going to move a little further up the tree. And one of my favorite places to use would be Dropbox. Now, Dropbox is super easy to use. I've got a ton of data stored in there for a whole number of purposes that we're going to cover as we go along. But it's a far more secure setting for your data, and it has redundant storage. So it's not just living one place. So if there's a crash, your data will live on.
How do I make this big?
And then finally, the most secure, because this is a fully encrypted site, is Box.net. Now, this is a new player. And again, Andrew recommended Box.net for the most sensitive information that we use. Now, you know NRT isn't a real fan of us having a large amount of personal data living on any of these devices. So if you're going to be storing social security numbers or really sensitive data for a customer, err on the side of caution, at least be in a Dropbox or a Box.net as you're moving your data around. So both of these will give you a free account. They start out at a couple gigs. Dropbox I'm going to focus on today because I'm the most familiar with it, and it's integrated into many, many other systems. So when you're in Dropbox, Dropbox will begin your account with 2 gigabytes of data. And that'll get you up and running and keep you going for quite a while unless you're really involved with a lot of pictures or a lot of video. But what it allows me to do, and you can see on your screen, this is a shot of all of my files that I have listed there. So there's quite a bit of information that you can put into a couple gigs. As people start joining in and you're sharing information, they're invited to join Dropbox also with a free account. And if they've come through a link that you've provided simply because I've shared a file with you, you'll gain an additional ½ gigabyte of more free storage. So there's comps that you can earn along the way and gain more free storage, which I have done. And I'm into the 4 or 5 gigabyte category these days, simply by just using this. And people just gravitate towards it, and they'll create an account. So you can house a lot of information here, and you're going to find it starting to integrate more and more with other programs that we use. Again, it's easily accessible by iPad, iPhone, most mobile devices, so your Android devices will work with this. But if we just look at our Woodlands file that I've created here to give you a sense of how much data one folder can hold, these are all images that I've taken, and they're all high-resolution images that we're doing these days with our cameras. And I don't know, there must be about 50 images in here right now. I can easily store this information. I can access it from anywhere, and I can forward it on to anyone I choose. Got to move my boxes around here a little bit. But if I go to the Woodlands folder and decide to share it, you can see I can share a link. As soon as I tap on that, it's going to look for an email address, and it's created thumbnails of all the photographs within that folder that I'm going to share. And the beautiful thing is, it's not going anywhere. It will stay on Dropbox, and I'm simply sending a link to you that you can download and use this information. So the part that becomes important, if I tried to send you 50 high-resolution photographs in one email, chances are I'm going to crash either our system or your receiving system, and they're just not going to make it. It's just far too much data. This way, I'm not sending you anything but a link. You can preview these pictures, decide which ones you like, and use them. So you don't have to receive a ton of data onto your phone or your other device. You pick out the one picture that you wanted, and you keep going. So it's becoming a really, really efficient way to share information. So anyone with an idea of a way, some information that you might share that could live in a Dropbox that you would share with an owner. Mr. White, do you have any ideas for us? Anyone there in Hershey? What would you put in the system that you might share with a user?
Well, I'm thinking I have a listing, okay? And I've taken all the pictures and I've put them in here in Dropbox. And I've sent my seller the link. May they print any of the pictures from that link?
Yeah, absolutely. They can print them, download them, view them. They can share them themselves. And so it makes it super easy access. The other idea that I was having, I know many of you run into the office to put your pictures on the P drive. So Beth has them first thing in the morning, or any of your admins have them first thing in the morning. Here you could load them into the Dropbox and send the admin a link and save yourself another trip to the office in order to put your information online. And so she'd have access at 9 a.m. and you wouldn't have to deal with running in and out and making that special trip, and you wouldn't crash the email system, which has happened so often, and you wouldn't have to send reduced files. You could send a full-size file, and then the ladies can use them any way they need.
John?
Yes?
Can you ask people to mute their phones unless they're speaking to you? We're hearing dogs bark and papers rustle, and it's annoying.
Yeah, well, I'll go ahead and mute everyone, and if you have a comment, you can simply raise your hand in the dashboard, and I will get to you. Let's give that one a try, because I'm not hearing it on this end, and if it's coming through to you, we'll just squash that right away. So you're going to have the ability to share any number of things, and I'll give you an idea of some of the things I've been using it for. As you know, I like to go as paperless as possible for the majority of my appointments.
To unmute your
And
line,
one of the
press star
advantages
6
of
or
it
pound
gives you,
6.
I can access all of this information through my iPad and then offer to share it with an owner, and it becomes a very efficient way to do business with them. And you look like a total pro, which is the part I love. So let's take a look at some of the other items that I've got here in Dropbox that I've used over time. So let's say you've created a flyer for a property that you have, and instead of carrying around a large stack of paper or a bunch of flyers that all get bent up in your back seat, you paid for them, they get ruined, what if you had it living online? And whenever I meet you on the street, I can easily bring that brochure up. We can review it just as you see online right now. And if it's something that is of interest to you, I can email it to you and you can print it out very easily on demand whenever you're ready. So this is a large two-sided 11 by 17 brochure that I have simply, I didn't even scan it. I had it created. A PDF was created for my review, and I just kept that and put it into my Dropbox. Now, whenever I want, I can take a look at this, or if I meet an agent on the street, a buyer or a seller, I can email it to them on the spot because I'll simply share that link and we'll go right into the document and create an email link. And I can send this to as many people as I want. They're receiving a PDF, and so it's super simple for them to review on any computer, and they can print and get on with their day. So it's going to be a very efficient way to manage your data. And again, just as many uses as you can imagine for sharing your data, you'll be able to share this with simply by email, which I love quite a bit. For me, I like paperless presentations, so I've created a folder for my listing presentation. Also, seller's disclosure. One of my pet peeves is going out to show, let's say we're going to show 4 homes today, and you've printed out the information on the homes. You've also printed out the information for the disclosures. Well, you've printed 30, 40, 50 pages of paper that no one's interested in every home. And so now you've got all these disclosures that are never even looked at, and it's a total waste of paper. What if you had those disclosures living in a folder, and when the party has shown an interest, you could bring it up and review it right on the spot. And if they have enough interest, I'll email you a copy. I can print it out, or better yet, I can incorporate it into DocuSign, and I'll have you sign it on the spot and email you a signed copy to go along with your contract. Because we're going to keep layering this on as we go along today, because it's convenient to store documents, but it's also going to be very convenient to roll this document right into another program that we'll be using, and that's DocuSign. DocuSign and Dropbox have integrated with one another just within the last few months. That was not available before. So it's a nice and convenient way to store your information, that you can store your information, share it, and incorporate it right into the transaction when you're ready. So let's take a look at that one. For our purposes today, we're going to push all the envelopes once again, so I'm going to tap my iPad and we'll change the display to go with my iPad so we can see what the Dropbox Inc. Application is going to allow us to do. And if you're not using, I'm sorry, not Dropbox, but DocuSign Inc. If you're not using DocuSign Inc. to go along with DocuSign and your electronic signatures, you might be missing something. So here you go. We're going to drop into DocuSign, and it's going to allow us to bring in any documents that we've stored anywhere. So we'll select Documents. These are documents that are live for you right now, or for me, within DocuSign. I can add a document, and all these things will look familiar. So I can bring them from DocuSign, or from Dropbox, Google Docs, or Box.net. They're already incorporated. If I select Dropbox, it already has my account linked. I'm going to go to that Fifth Avenue disclosure. I'm going to add that document. And I can bring it up and have it ready for you to sign right now. So we'll give it a second for it to incorporate. Preparing for signatures. And in just a minute, we'll be able to have this signed and emailed to all the parties. So for our purposes, we're using the seller's disclosure today, but it could be any document or any page that you're familiar with. So we'll just cut to the chase. And we can add an initialing field. So we'll give you a little bit of Dropbox, DocuSign along our way. So my document, or my DocuSign already knows my signature, and I can add it right in and then just keep going. And of course, if we were having a buyer sign it, we would add them as a second signer and have them sign off. Again, for my purpose today, we're just showing you how to incorporate the document. So you can easily bring in, and that's a long document, but we'll have that buyer sign right at the bottom. And of course, I love dating stuff these days, and I hope you are taking advantage of that date field. It's really slick. And we're ready to go and finish this and email this off to our buyer. So we can easily incorporate a number of functions by using our different apps and using Dropbox. So as you're going along through your day, make sure you're taking advantage of some of these online solutions. Now, this is a temporary fix because in the next few months, I'm going to be rolling out a new technology that's being turned on within our home-based system right now. So to allow you to be in a more secure environment, your documents are already there, but we're going to allow you to even have file sharing within Homebase. Now, I have not seen this one yet. This is a feature that's being engineered right now, and we'll have that very shortly. But the intent is that you'll be able to take your transaction, and again, I know the way you're managing your emails. We've got transaction folders. We've got transaction folders on the P drive of files. We're going to be able to house all of that information right within Homebase. And so you have a one-stop shop that's available anywhere where you can access your active files and archive your emails into that same file within Homebase, archive your forms, anything that you've got stashed around in all these various places. You'll be able to drop them all into Homebase and have one center point for maintaining everything that pertains to that one deal. So when you've had settlement, push everything into Homebase and let it live on there. Keep your space available on your P drive, your available space for your email, and make it convenient that it's there. You forget about it and move on. As all of you in Hershey know, I don't like lots of files lingering around at home. This would be a great center point to scan it, drop it in there, and forget about it. And so, Dave Drobnock, when you're ready to thin out those files in your office, they'll all be living in one place, and you won't have to worry about keeping it around so that you can go back, access it at another time, or not have the ability to access it. You'll have access to all of your data, and you'll be able to do it in a real simple format, just like we're seeing here. I'll certainly be introducing that one to you when that's available. For the moment, this is my intermediate solution. But feel free to give these a try. They're free, my favorite thing. They have apps for all your portable devices, and as you saw here, we can access them through iPads, DocuSign, or through your desktop like you're seeing here right now. I'm going to go ahead and unmute everybody, so watch your noise and your rustling, because I'd love to get a little interaction from you. I don't do well in a room by myself, and I'd like to have give you a chance for some questions.
John, I have a question. It's Karen Corman.
Hi, Karen.
Hey, I did try using DocuSign where you sign it right then and there. My question is, if you have that done, can you then forward that document where they've signed it in front of you on the iPad to someone else to sign it using the, the regular DocuSign? I couldn't figure out how to do that.
Yeah, I'm sure we can. I'd have to sit down. I'd be glad to sit down with you, and we can work our way through those steps, because you simply just add another signer. So
right.
You're in front of me with your iPad. You've signed off. We hit finish. You'll have that completed document. You may need to do that when at a desktop, not on an iPad, to take that and add an additional signer and send it out again.
Okay. I didn't play too much. I was trying, but it didn't take too much time. So you have not done that yourself.
Well, I know we played with that one also, and I know there's a wrinkle in there that I'd have to look at, and that's why I'm telling you I think you're going to do best by trying to do it from your from a desktop than you will from the iPad. The iPad is built for convenience, and like I tell everyone, it's going to do about 95% of what we want it to do. So it's not going to be fully featured like the desktop version would be, and it's going to depend on how you brought that into the transaction. But I'm almost certain through the desktop we can execute that one for you.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Anyone else? Any questions out there? Did you see something that you like here this morning? Does this kind of open your mind to another way to handle all this paper and stuff that's kind of holding you back? These portable devices make it so nice to be able to run into an open house, a model home, or do business on the top of our car like we did years ago with the multi-part forms. Now you can have access to zip forms, create them, roll them into a DocuSign, and store them online and get on with your day.
John, Hershey calling.
Hi.
We love it. It's wonderful. We don't know how to put things in Dropbox once you have an account. Can you go over that with us?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm kind of 2 miles down the road on that one. Yeah, quite easily. So we're in Dropbox, as you can see. We can create a new folder. So one of your choices at the top, and you need to be in your basic file. So we'll be in the basics or the root drive for Dropbox. You can see we can upload a document. We can create a new folder, or I can share a folder. So we'll create a new folder, and we can call it whatever. So we'll call it the whatever folder. It's going to alphabetize it. There it is. So we simply click on the name, go back to the top, upload a document, and then this should look very familiar to you. So we're going to choose our files. last evening we were here quite a bit doing a little bit of skill builder with the new agents. And let's see where I put all of Mel's stuff. So I need to do this anyway. So we've got, Mel and I are working on a listing. So we've got his listing folder. We created a tax folder. We created a toolkit folder. I can select all three of those, select open, and watch the speed that this uploads these three files. Now I'm on a wireless connection here in Camp Hill, and they are uploaded and ready to go. And so this is actually 17 listings from the multi-list. That it's the data sheet and also the additional photos. So this is roughly 30 pages. Here's a toolkit presentation. And I love the speed that this thing works at. So there we've created his toolkit presentation, and I have it uploaded, and now I can do whatever I want with it. I can share it with Mel. I'll be bringing it up on my iPad when he and I sit down to discuss his property, and we'll have all of his data at our fingertips. And this is exactly what I would do coming out to anybody's home to do my listing presentation. I would create these pieces, I'd save them in Dropbox, and I'd walk in with my iPad. And I know a number of you have caught that act, and that's the process that I use. So I always have it with me, and it makes it super simple. And again, when I'm in that root folder, I can now share that and send the link to whomever needs it. Or I can get the link, and it's actually made a copy of it, and now I can drop that into another email if I don't want to use their email system. Perhaps I want to keep it within our Jack Gaughan system or any other email account that you have. Very simple to do.
John, I have a question.
Yes.
When you share that link, does the recipient have to have an account with Dropbox also?
No, it takes them right in, and that's an excellent question. The other thing about that, they're limited only to either the document or the folder that I share with them. They don't have access to all this other stuff. So it's a nice, secure environment for us. But no, they don't need an account. Dropbox will ask them if they'd like to create one. And if they do, you gain another ½ gigabyte of free storage. So the more you use this, the more it will snowball, and you'll start to gain more storage space simply because you've shared their process. Any other questions for me out there today? Well, I hope you find this helpful. I hope you enjoy this format. These little things are fun for me. Because
I do have one quick question, John.
Yes.
You know how sometimes you hear people talk about, when there are different links that you can pass on if they have a virus in your computer. So if they put something in Dropbox, the documents and stuff aren't going to have any attachments that could cause viruses, would they?
No, I haven't heard of any incident of a virus being attached to any Dropbox folders or files.
Okay. So if we have a computer that might be contaminated and we've saved documents from it, we shouldn't have any issues?
No, I wouldn't expect any. I'm sure they're screening everything that's coming into these systems, because you can imagine the mess that it makes for your laptop when you pick up a virus, the havoc that would create in their system if you uploaded something that had a virus.
That's what I'm checking.
No, I haven't heard of any incident of that at all.
Okay, great.
Well, all right, folks. Well, I certainly appreciate your attendance today. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you're